Hello English 3 students, this is Mr. Murphy. I'm going to give you a quick overview of Romanticism, what it is a literary form using artwork to give you the primary interests. So the first thing is that Romantics, they were very interested in the common man. They were interested in childhood. They were essentially thinking that civilization and cities were kind of bad and a return to nature was better. They really were all about emotions, and that leads us from the first characteristic into the second one, the strong senses, emotions, and feelings. Before them was the age of reason. Everything was about logic and thinking things through. The Romantics rejected logic. They rejected that, and they were all about emotions. They were all about feelings. So let's take a look at two paintings. One is romantic, one is realistic, and see if we can figure out which is which. Both of these paintings have a shared subject, a dog, but I want you to see how they're each treating dogs differently. So the question to us now, which of these two paintings is realistic, which one is romantic? Go ahead and pause and take a look at them, think about them, then you can unpause and we'll talk about it. So let's start by looking at both paintings. The one on the right is very straightforward. It's two dogs, peaceful surrounding on a beach. The setting is not that important. The one on the left is taken from mythology, and this is a painting of a dog whose master fell to his death, and the dog protected him for 3 months from foxes and ravens and dying. Notice the dark emotions being portrayed over here with the rock and the shadows. Notice how the dog is the brightest thing. It's almost a golden color. That's clearly showing us the one on the left is the romantic piece because it's about emotions. It's evoking emotions. The one on the right is simply showing us two dogs. That's it. It's very straightforward, very non-emotional. So the one on the right is more that age of reason or Renaissance Enlightenment. The one on the left is definitely romantic. That leads us back to our Romanticism key. We come down here, we see awe of nature is another major characteristic of Romanticism. So let's take some basic notes, and again you can pause to write this stuff down. And essentially what we're looking at here is that the Romantics were in awe of nature. They thought that nature was unbelievable. They were just overwhelmed with how powerful it was. And the Romantics really thought that nature just didn't care about us as individuals, that humans were more of animals. We were alone in this world, whereas the rationalists really placed humans almost to the level of angels. We were so smart, we were so intelligent, and capable of so much. This gets us down to the next topic, the celebration of the individual. And this is the idea that Romantics celebrated really the attempt to conquer, to overcome our place of being sort of lost in nature and overwhelmed by nature. So for Romantics, it was all about the struggle to accomplish something. There's a very famous painting at the St. Louis Art Museum called Sadak in Search of the Waters of Oblivion. And this is it. You'll notice how dominant everything is. If you look at the original painting at the St. Louis Art Museum, you'll see a little splash of lightning up there. And way down here at the bottom, there's Sadak, a man striving, trying to accomplish something in spite of these overwhelming odds of mountain climbing. We're going to go back to the worksheet now, and we'll talk about the importance of imagination, which is that the Romantics legitimized the individual imagination as a critical authority. In other words, they sort of rejected the idea of institutions or of corporations or the church telling us everything. And again, they celebrated the individual, even though the individual was essentially lost in the wildness of nature. So let's take a look at another pairing of paintings. One is romantic, one is realistic, and these ones also, all of them so far have been from the St. Louis Art Museum, so you can go and check these out. It's a pretty neat experience. If we look at these two, we're looking at nature. They're both about nature. So the question is, which one is romantic, which one is realist? As we're looking, we should be thinking, well, which one is showing a lot of emotions? And it should be pretty clear the one on the right is very dramatic, very emotional. Nature is large in scope. The one on the left here has a little church. It's kind of nestled. It's a peaceful Sunday or so. So it's definitely, that is more of the rationalist painting on the left, romantic painting over here on the right. Before we move on to the next painting that you guys are going to do an optic over, I just want to leave this bottom section up for 1 second. Go ahead, feel free to pause it right now so that you can write down all the notes. And now I'm going to go ahead and move it up to the top so that you can write down those notes and have just a nice place where you can pause it. And in just a second, we're going to go ahead to the painting The Raft of the Medusa, which is your assignment in class today. Here we go. So here's the Raft of the Medusa. This is based on a very famous event. The French Navy had a captain who shipwrecked his ship A lot of the people were able to get off on escape boats, but some of the people were placed on this sort of ramshackle raft thrown together. They were out there for, I think, about 15 days, and most of the people died either through cannibalism or they jumped off the raft into their death because they were so overwhelmed because they didn't think they were ever going to be rescued. This painting is actually, these people are painted life-size. It's a huge painting. Just to point out a few quick things, notice this guy's posture here. Think about that. Think about the dead bodies down here. That actually was modeled after Eugene Delacroix, if you know that painter. And way over here, right there, you can just see the outline of the ship that's coming to save these people. Very famous painting. So what you need to do now is basically do an optic. Try to figure out, how does this fit in with the Romantic period? How is this a romantic painting? Good luck. I hope this has helped.